Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Local Control and Accountability Plan, our Lcap Engagement Forum. We appreciate you being here, your time, your participation, and your involvement. Please, if you do need any interpretation services tonight, please click on the interpretation icon, and we have simultaneous Spanish interpretation being offered. We do have two interpreters, Maria Robles and Guillermo Rodriguez. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Guillermo, if you would please just announce that on the English side so that everyone knows how to access the interpretation services, please. So I believe that is being shared. So once again, welcome everyone. And thank you very much for being here. We appreciate it greatly. Tonight is a collaborative engagement, discussion, and conversation about our Local Control and Accountability Plan, our LCAP plan. We review the 2020-2021 Local Control Funding Formula, allocation and process, and then we'll also be developing through your feedback, your suggestions, the 2021-2024 Year 1 Local Control and Accountability Plan. Once again, please make sure if you do have questions, all your input and feedback, please go ahead and put that in the chat. Any suggestions, input you have on how we can increase and improve our services in the focus of graduating all students, college, career, and community ready. And then also, please make sure to put any questions or answers you have in the Q&A, the question and answer. And so tonight, what we'll be focusing on is providing an overview of the local control funding formula, and then making sure to provide an overview of the local control funding formula funded supports for this year, the 2020-2021 school year. And then throughout the night, reading out your suggestions in the chat and through the question and answer about how we can increase academic achievement for our students. Increasing student attendance and connectedness to their school sites, and really preparing all our students to graduate from high school, college, career, and community ready. And of course, throughout the night and at the end of the night, we'll be answering your questions, listening to your suggestions, and taking in all of your feedback. So once again, thank you for being here and thank you for your participation. The slides for tonight's presentation, both in English and Spanish, can be found at the link that was shared in the chat, and also on our district website for our Local Control and Accountability Plan page. To share our mission for our district, the mission for Stockton Unified School District is to graduate every student, college, career, and community ready. And in doing so, we will lift all youth out of circumstances of poverty and scarcity. A focus that is across the district in all of the services and the actions and supports that we provide, really making sure we're implementing what is needed to support students at all of their learning levels, as well as making sure we are supporting their well-being and their social emotional healthy state of being. So there are three main forms of the local control funding formula process. The first one is the funding. The funding itself is the local control funding formula. That is the formula by which the state of California provides funds directly to our district and to all public school districts to really make sure we have the local control of funds to address the local needs of our students, our families, and in support of our staff that are providing the educational resources and services to all students. The second part of the local control funding formula process is the plan. And the plan itself is the Local Control and Accountability Plan. It's a plan that outlines the metrics and goals by which we are setting up as a school district to focus on meeting the needs of all students. It provides an overview and an explanation of how we as a district are using funds, specifically local control funding formula funds, to meet the academic and social emotional needs of all students, of supporting the participation and involvement of all of our families, and really making sure that we are addressing the needs of increasing and improving services, principally focused on our foster youth students, our low income students, our English learner students, our families and transition students, as well as our students with exceptional needs. As the local control funding formula fund formula really focuses on those funds provided to the district from the state to make sure that those high need student groups are getting the academic services they need to be successful on their journey to graduate from high school, college, career, and community ready. And then, of course, this is the accountability portion, which is the California School Dashboard, which really shows how districts are doing in different areas to make sure we are aligning our processes, our resources, and our services to meet the needs of all students aligned with the state priorities. When we're talking about the local control funding formula, the LCFF funds, directly connecting them to the local control accountability plan, there are three types of funds connected to the local control funding formula funds, LCFF funds. The first one is just the base grant funds, the amount of money that districts get to address the needs of all students. So any student that is enrolled in the district is provided with a certain amount of funds to make sure we are providing base services to address those students' needs. The next type of fund is what is known as the supplementary grant fund. And these types of funds, every district gets to supplement and provide extra, improved, increased services to address the needs of English learners, low-income students, and foster youth students that are enrolled in the district. And then the third type of local control funding formula funds is known as the concentration funding. And those are provided to any district that has 55% or more students enrolled in the district that are identified as English learners, foster youth, and low-income students. Stockton Unified School District has around 82% of students enrolled in our school district that are a part or connected or identified as being one of these three student groups: English learners, foster youth, and low-income students. So the local control funding formula fund is connected to 8 state priorities. The 8 state priorities really are focused on 3 different areas: conditions for learning, student outcomes, and really about student and family engagement. The first 3 forms of the state priorities is the basic services, really making sure we have teachers that are assigned to classrooms with the appropriate credentials and to really meet the academic and learning needs of the students in their classroom. Making sure that all students have access to standard aligned curriculum and making sure that our facilities are in good repair. When we're talking about implementation of state standards, really making sure that all students have access to Common Core state standard adopted curriculum, that English learners have access to both designated and integrated English learner development experiences, and really making sure that English learners and all students have access to rigorous, meaning grade level content of learning. And then making sure of course access, that all students have access to both the core content subjects that they need to have a well-rounded education and learning experience, and then as well as making sure that all students have access to different forms of services in support of their learning. The student outcomes state priorities are really connected with student achievement, making sure that every student has what they need to increase their ability to meet grade level standards, to be reading at grade level, to be able to understand mathematical concepts and content at grade level, making sure that English learners are being reclassified, making sure that students are passing and taking advanced placement examination classes that provide credit and college readiness at high levels in high school. And then really making sure that our students are really college and career ready. They're taking dual enrollment classes, that they have access to career technical education pathways, and that on standardized assessments, they are scoring and showing their ability to show what they know at grade level or beyond content. And then, of course, talking about other pupil outcomes, making sure that we have students that are college and career ready, and that they are having access to both core content subject areas, as well as electives and other topics and classes and learning experiences that are preparing them to graduate from high school, preparing them for college readiness, and preparing them to have the skills they need to get the career job that they desire and dream of. And of course, then student engagement, making sure that we have activities, experiences, trainings, and workshops that are increasing family, parent, and guardian involvement. Making sure that we have student engagement, that we are increasing opportunities for students to be included at school, feel welcomed, feel valued, leadership opportunities for students. And by providing positive behavioral intervention supports, making sure that we are decreasing rates of suspension and expulsion by increasing students' connectedness and positive experiences at school. And then, of course, the school climate, making sure that we are providing opportunities to really address students feeling safe, healthy, and valued while at school. This year, due to the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic, the state did not have school districts create a local control and accountability plan. In place of that plan, school districts created a learning continuity and attendance plan. That is what we went over at our last Lcap engagement forum. And this plan itself was had a public hearing September 15th, and then was adopted by the Board of Trustees of Stockton Unified School District on September 22nd. A video of that engagement forum, sort of going and providing an overview of the learning continuity attendance plan, can be found on our local control and accountability plan website for our district, as well as the plan itself for any types of overview or further information that you desire about our learning continuity and attendance plan. It's very important that during these times of school building closures, that families continue to have access to meal distribution. Currently, Stockton Unified School District provides weekly meals for students for the whole week every Wednesday. These meals are provided at 28 different distribution school sites across the district. Every Wednesday from 10:30 to 12:30, the meals are distributed. Also on these Wednesdays at our 4 comprehensive high schools, Chavez High School, Edison High School, Stagg High School, and Franklin High School, a meal distribution happens twice a day on those Wednesdays, once early in the morning from 6:45 to 7:30, and then again at 10:30 to 12:30. At all of the other school sites, the meal distribution happens 10:30 to 12:30 every Wednesday. You can find further information at our meal service website, www.stocktonusd.net/meal service. It is very important that we continue to address the needs of all students, as well as really making sure we're increasing and improving the services provided to the students with various diverse and high needs connected to the supplementary and concentration funds. So we continue during these times to address the needs of foster youth by making sure they have all of the learning and instructional supplies that they need, that workshops for college and career readiness and for the free application for federal student aid, the FAFSA support, continue to be provided. Lots of different forms of leveled support by social services case managers, constant phone and family outreach, and truancy intervention and outreach to make sure that students are continuing to come to school every day, access to learning, and have access to the resources and supplies that they need. For English learners, making sure that we have the support provided by bilingual assists, interpretation and translation services, professional development, as well as English specialist support for English language development implementation, and then after school tutoring, homework help, and academic intervention hour support after school as well. For low income students, continuing to make sure that all students really have access to counseling and mental health clinician support, student leadership participation opportunities, really increased opportunities to access visual and performing arts experiences, again, after school tutoring and academic intervention support, and career and exploration software to really help students find what it is they are passionate about, what is the type of job or career they're interested in, and then connecting them with those learning experiences to further their involvement and participation in those areas. Tonight we'll be discussing, really as a collaborative discussion, how can we together develop a local control and accountability plan that continues to address the needs of our students while continuing to increase the participation and involvement of our families, and making sure that staff has the support they need to really graduate all students from high school, college, and career and community ready. So the first goal for our local control accountability plan is focused on student achievement. It would be considered what is known as a broad goal, really focusing on increasing student achievement by providing high quality first instruction supported by a multi-tiered system of supports to graduate every single youth, college, career, and community ready. This goal really focuses on student achievement, providing access to core subjects for all students, and then providing college and career readiness opportunities for all students as well. When we're thinking about a local control and accountability plan, here are the first column for SA, that stands for student achievement. And this sort of shows you the enumeration, the numbered items for each action and service within the Lcap. The second column shows you sort of the focus of the student achievement area. And then the third column shows you the total funds. The total funds for that area within the Lcap that would be focusing on these areas. And then the fourth column is supplementary and concentration funds. The amount of funds that are being put for and in support of that action and service aligned with the supplementary and concentration funds that are focused on increasing and improving the services for our foster youth, our English learners, our low-income students, our students with exceptional needs. And then the final column, the fifth column, is just base or any other funds used to support these areas. So we're focusing on student academic achievement by providing student technology, making sure all students have access to a laptop, making sure students have access to Wi-Fi connectivity, a Wi-Fi hotspot in their place of residence, making sure that we are providing primary language support, really making sure that we have increased English language development professional learning opportunities for staff members, that we have translation and interpretation opportunities for both our staff to have access to, and for all documents to also be translated and interpreted, and making sure that we have program specialists and instructional coaches that focus on the implementation of high quality English language development for our students. Making sure that we have built-in teacher collaboration time that happens monthly, that provides teachers with an opportunity to come together and to really focus on data and discuss ways that they can work together to address the needs of students. Making sure that we have support and site administration of professional development really at every school site and across the district, making sure we're providing high quality first instruction for all students and really meeting the diverse learning needs. Making sure that we're implementing a professional learning community, a way in which we continue as leaders and learners, as lifelong learners, with continued opportunities to learn from each other, to collaborate, and really build up our opportunities to look at student data and respond to it by providing opportunities to create common formative assessments, by providing lesson planning opportunities, and really talking and discussing about ways that we can work together to meet the needs of all students. And then really making sure that we have student intervention strategies and supports, having credit recovery opportunities for high school students, making sure that we have academic intervention support, tutoring, push-in support within classrooms, reading intervention resources, and really making sure that we have continued focus on meeting the needs of students who show and demonstrated a need for extra layers of support for learning. We also align with this first goal, looking at making sure that we are really focusing on providing instructional coaching for teachers, really having that collaborative opportunity for the experts of learning to work together, the teachers and the instructional coaches, to really focus on providing constant abilities to grow and learn from each other, to address and implement the diverse learning needs within the classroom, and to really look at the curriculum together and create plans of implementation to make sure that all students are getting learning at the levels at which they need to gain access and success at grade level content. Making sure we have after school programs being provided across the district to meet the needs of students both after and during school. Also making sure that we have site allocation, so providing school sites with funds of supplementary and concentration funds, so that as a school site, they can address the needs they have at their school in collaboration and discussions with their parents, their families, their guardians, the students, and the staff. And this process really lives within the school site council and the English learner advisory committees, and really having that conversation around the needs to address and meet with these funds that school sites are providing. Making sure we have college and career preparatory opportunities that are ongoing, to have career and technical education pathways to really support the process of students gaining access and providing experiences of learning that really set students up for success for graduating from high school with all the requirements they need to get the job of their desire and to really enter to the school and college that they wish to apply to. Making sure we have special ed assistive opportunities and really increasing special education students' access to the A through G, the UC, and CSU requirements at the high school level to make sure of equitable access for the needs of students with exceptional needs at the high school level. And then having library support, making sure that we have a district librarian, media assist, and an online accessible e-readers so that students can check out books anytime they want with titles that they are passionate and interested in, high interest, books to read on their computers or their tablets or whatever they have access to, with no late fees connected to them. So at this part of the presentation, I will stop and look and see if there's any questions to answer, as well as please make sure to put in the chat any suggestions you have of how we as a school system can increase student achievement. What would you like to see increased or improved specifically to address student achievement? Career and college readiness opportunities, access to technology, and those different academic interventions and supports. So I would appreciate any feedback and input you would like to share about ways that as a system we can increase and improve student achievement. I see one question is, would one-on-one aids be considered under the Lcap funding? And if not, why? Yes, definitely. The idea of providing one-to-one aids is something that can be considered under Lcap funding. It would need to be making sure that these one-on-one aids are not something that would be considered a base connected, and in the sense that it is automatically something that would have to be due to an IP per se, because that's something we would have to provide. With that being said, the idea of increasing and improving student access to one-on-one aids due to their IEP goals is something that can be supported and funded through the Lcap process. Specifically making sure that students who have IEP needs, who are English learners, who are students who are low income, families in transition, or foster youth students would be getting that increased support also with the one-on-one aids, because these funding would really look to appreciate the need of meeting those learning extra supports for those students specifically. I appreciate that question. Some of the other questions, if you have any, I would love to answer. One suggestion I see is, I love that they offered and held a training to parents on the picture exchange system. Special education parents have had to be very hands-on during distance learning, and many were interested in more training opportunities to help that. So definitely, I appreciate that feedback, and we will continue to make sure that we are increasing and improving the trainings and workshops that we are providing parents, guardians, and family members, and really making sure that these trainings and workshops are connected to the needs of the families, and providing skills and information and supports that increase parents, guardians, and families' ability to better support their children or child's ability to access learning, to enjoy learning, and really be excited about coming to school and learning. Is there any other questions? Before I move on, there's one other question. Oh, another question is, how can we address the need for reading support connected to the Lcap, a focus specifically on reading at kindergarten through third grade levels? Well, many of the ways that we can address and currently are addressing, great question, the need for reading support is the idea of supporting instructional coaches and their ability to really focus on those foundational skills needed in those primary grades of reading to learn, of phonemic and phonic awareness, of connecting extra support and collaboration time for teachers to really do strategic planning around early literacy lessons, providing both physical hands-on opportunities and connections to online so that learning can happen both during the school time and beyond the school time for both students to have access and families to have access, extra layers of support. Making sure we're increasing students' access to learning and reading materials. And really making sure that we have constant and ongoing trainings and workshops for parents, families, and guardians of how they can best support increased reading in their places of residence. As well as making sure that ongoing professional development and professional learning opportunities are provided to families focused on early literacy. Another one's a statement: reading intervention needs to be immediate and responsive. That is very true. I appreciate that statement. And it's built in to the constant collaboration that teachers are working on and doing, and really looking at that student data and then directly using their instructional planning and practice time to address those student needs. And then identifying outside of the universal access, the instructional time, those small group needs for those students and those high leverage both standards and skills that need to be implemented and really explicitly taught to those students to really help them gain that extra accelerated learning opportunity to continue to grow and learn. And that's why we have ongoing benchmark assessments as well as formative assessments to help inform the instruction and address those learning needs. I appreciate that feedback very much. And please continue to share any ideas, input, or feedback that you have connected to how we can continue to increase student academic achievement. The next area of focus of our local control and accountability plan is about equitable learning environments, creating those learning environments where all students have access to what they need at the level of understanding that they are comfortable with to continue to grow and develop in a healthy and developmentally appropriate way. And so goal number 2 is a broad goal also, really focusing on providing equitable and healthy learning environments that enhance both the social emotional and academic learning for all students, utilizing again a multi-tiered system of supports, an approach that has many different layers to address the diverse learning and social emotional needs of students. This goal 2 of the Lcap, equitable learning environments, really focuses on making sure we have the basic conditions in place to address students' needs, that we are providing state standards and all students have access to content, curriculum, learning materials, and learning experiences that provides them with the opportunity to achieve, to be successful in their learning, and to continue to develop in a healthy, well-being way their social emotional well-being of who they are as a student and who they're becoming as an academic young scholar as they increase their journey of education through primary grades, elementary school, middle school, high school, college, career, and beyond. And then really focusing on the school climate as well, making sure we have a positive, welcoming, and inclusive school climate where all students feel valued, that their voices are represented and heard, and that they are included in the learning process. So for goal 2, we really make sure that we have technology and infrastructure and support. We have so many students and staff using computers at the same time. We make sure that we have a system that can really support the constant access to learning materials online and making sure that the technology we have is working. Also making sure that instructional staff has access to the technology that they need to be able to deliver and provide instructional supports through using technology to connect with students. Also making sure to focus on high quality teachers, substitutes, administrators, and staff. So really making sure that we are providing professional learning and development for our teachers and our staff and our administrators, that we continue to provide behavioral intervention teams to really support that behavioral development and those healthy and welcoming learning environments for all students to feel included and safe in. Making sure that we are focusing on providing training and learning workshops focused on equity, sort of talking about our implicit bias and ways that we can become more culturally and linguistically relevant in the ways that we teach and learn as adults to really connect with our students and provide them with the highest quality education possible. That we are providing instructional technology solutions that are directly connected to ensuring that we have positive behavior intervention supports, that we continue to make sure that we are also having the ability to monitor student learning while they are working online and using technology so that all students are both safe and healthy and appropriate in the ways they are communicating with each other and using the educational technology that they are accessing while learning. And then of course, just having basic instructional teacher and staffing, making sure that across the district, we have the staff and we have the supports needed to provide high quality instruction for all students. And making sure that we're providing full day kindergarten experiences to increase those early literacy experiences and socialization and schooling experiences for students, as well as making sure we have increased supports and time within the middle school and high school years for students with those higher levels of academic expectations and greater levels of focus on testing and awareness of the importance of passing their classes to support their access to college, career, and higher levels beyond high school of success. We also want to make sure we're continuing to provide parent, guardian, community relations and outreach. So having parent liaison supports, an extra layer of staff support of connecting families with schools, making sure that we have community assists and social case managers to really provide that extra layers of support for our foster youth, our homeless and unaccompanied youth, and our families in transition. To really make sure we have translators and interpreters that are specialists in providing documentation, interpretation, and translation, and providing increased and improved access to families that English is their second language so that all meetings are inclusive and open and accessible by all families, parents, and guardians. More than ever, it's important that we're really focusing on health services, that we have those supports to provide that subacute health services. So our licensed vocational nurses, our health assists, our wellness centers, and really making sure we have just different layers of outreach and healthy support at the school sites to make sure that our school sites are addressing the health and well-being needs of all students. And then of course, having those extra layers of mental health and counseling supports So really making sure we have mental health clinicians and counselors to provide academic guidance and social emotional well-being supports at all school sites, as well as a focus on increasing and improving the ways that we're developing ethnic studies and the opportunities and offerings around the focus of providing that ethnic studies experience and content knowledge for our students. And school counseling to really, again, provide both that academic guidance and social emotional well-being support. This is the part of the presentation I will again pause to take questions and answers, as well as please in the chat, put all of your feedback and input of your suggestions of what would you like to see increased and improved to really address both the academic, the learning, and the social emotional development, the healthy well-being of our students. What would you like to see increased and improved on a daily level, both during the school day and after school, to make sure that we are meeting the needs of all students, and really specifically meeting those different diverse needs of foster youth students, of our English learner students, of our low income and families in transition, and students with exceptional needs as well. So look at the questions right now. The first question I see is, does the Lcap support math and STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math to improve math scores? Great question. Yes, currently the Lcap, the Local Control and Accountability Plan, makes sure that it funds different opportunities for hands-on learning experiences connected to professional learning and professional development focused on math and STEM implementation. We have across the district Project Lead the Way experiences that provide different forms of engineering, robotics, science exploration, and math integration experiences. We make sure to fund AVID, advancement via individual determination, to really provide those opportunities for students to increase their abilities to show what they know through their writing skills, through their different forms of inquiry and asking leveled questions, collaboration, really organizing their workspace and taking focused notes, and really those academic skills need for learning to read and reading to learn. Does district visual and performing arts funding fall under goal 2 or a different goal? Great question. The district visual arts and visual and performing arts funding falls underneath goal 3 of the Lcap, which focuses on really building up meaningful partnerships. A statement is made. Selena Johnson loves the parent trainings and would love to see more multicultural ones, especially for African American and Black parents. I really appreciate that feedback and input. And as a district, we will continue to work on developing and increasing and improving both multicultural parent, guardian, and family trainings, as well as trainings provided to meet the needs of African American and Black parents, as well as making sure we have trainings for all parent groups, as well as trainings specific towards meeting the diverse needs that families have connected to support of their children or child. Thank you very much for that feedback and statement. How do families get support with behavior during distance learning? Great question. The best way to get support with behavior during distance learning is to call your child or children's school and ask to connect with their school counselor. The school counselor will be able to provide opportunities and suggestions around different layers of behavioral support. If the behaviors are to a need beyond, maybe with a conversation with the counselor, and you've tried those suggestions, then calling a student success team or an SST team meeting by contacting your school's principal or administrator. And that conversation will have a group of staff at that meeting that will help provide suggestions and create a plan specifically to support your child or children's behavioral needs during distance learning. A great question, and really appreciate that. The district is also creating some sort of mental health and behavioral kits that we will be providing families and parents directly connected with behavioral intervention supports and needs. You can also visit the family tool. It's the hand of our website, and they have lots of different types of supports on that website as well as our mental health clinician page website that has a list of both resources and suggestions to support home behaviors during distance learning also. The next question is a statement. It says, dealing with African American and Black parents and their kids is a different dynamic that needs more mentors, hip to programs. I love how my child has a Raising Youth Resilience mentor. It helps him in school when he's having forms of post-traumatic stress. And so I really appreciate that comment. We definitely have different mentor programs across the district. Raising Youth Resilience is one of those programs that provides the support and provides mentors. And so I appreciate that statement and that feedback. And the next one is inclusion workshops for staff. A lot of schools have special day classes, and I'm sure schools would benefit from guidance on how to provide inclusion opportunities for these classes. Recess is not enough. I do appreciate that feedback, and we would definitely continue as a district to look for ways to increase and improve the inclusion, both experiences and access for students with special needs, to make sure that they are having healthy, safe, and fun experiences at school with their classmates, with their peers at their school, and definitely having increased inclusion opportunities as well beyond just recess. I appreciate that feedback. Thank you. The next one is, the mental health clinicians have been fantastic at Bush Elementary. How can we make sure to keep them? I really appreciate that feedback and that input. Just continuing to share the great resources that they provide. I'm sure that you've shared in the Lcap survey, which was open from October 26th to February 5th, that information as well, and sharing it today. And just continuing to share with your school site the importance and the offerings and the benefit that mental health clinician, or just mental health clinicians in general, provide. Will be very supportive in that process. And then definitely making sure just to share that information with anybody, both at the school site, and then continuing to share at these forums as well, as a great way to advocate for mental health clinicians and any type of role that stakeholders feel are both increasing and improving services for students. And then the next one says, I think all sites need a full-time nurse when we are back in person. And we continue as a district to address and find ways to increase the health services that we're providing at school sites, and definitely looking at ways to ensure that the nursing support is provided at all school sites. So I appreciate that feedback, and we'll continue to share that input as well. And so the next and final Lcap goal, local control and accountability goal we have for our district, is really building meaningful partnerships. And again, a broad goal really focused on creating a culture of inclusion and collaboration with families and community stakeholders that builds meaningful partnerships, focused on increasing student engagement and family and community participation, really focused in supporting of developing leadership at all levels, and making sure we're increasing, focused on parent, guardian, and family involvement. Really increase and improve and focused on student engagement, that students are excited about coming to school, that students have school pride and connection to the school that they attend and feel safe and connected at that school, as well as families feel that they're provided with the resources and services that they need to continue to be partners in their children's learning and connected to the school sites at which their child or children attend. And so for goal 3 of our local control and funding formula, suggestions of the ways in which local control funding formula funds are utilized in services is, 1, really providing parent, guardian, family engagement, making sure that we have a family engagement and education office, that we have parent liaisons, that we have community assists, that we have ongoing parent, family, and guardian workshops and training, that we have increased interpretation and translation services, that we have English as a second language classes for adults being offered. Making sure that we have parent, guardian, family, and school communication. That we have ongoing local control and accountability outreach and engagement and participation opportunities. That we have access to surveys and parental feedback and programs and procedures to really continue with ongoing access and information and feedback from families, parents, guardians, staff, students, and community members. That we have our amazing community relations department who continues to increase access and information shared on all of our websites. Really continue with increasing the functionality and the communication, the information that's shared across the district on all the social communication platforms. And really doing outreach to connect our district with different forms of communities, partnerships with businesses, and really providing that platform and communication for all of our staff members to connect with families and students and the community at large. And making sure that all our websites are up and running. Student engagement and leadership opportunities, making sure that we have funds for various forms of student organizations, various forms of student leadership opportunities, student trips, making sure that we have resources and supplies for students to access to do hands-on learning, focused on making sure they are engaged in college and career readiness workshops and supports. And then really focusing on making sure that we have visual and performing arts activities and sports activities, and making sure that the visual and performing arts programs and sports programs have the supplies and resources that they need. And increasing, which is a big ask that we continue to hear from our stakeholders, those arts and music experiences for the elementary school age students, and continue to make sure to sustain and provide increased opportunities for both our middle school and high school level students as well for visual and performing arts activities. And then making sure that we have supports for our Native American Center and student attendance and accountability with our central enrollment to try to provide an easier and user-friendly access and user experience of enrolling your child into our district or needing to move your child or children from one school to another, as well as making sure we have ongoing outreach to the Child Welfare and Attendance Department to address all of the different attendance needs, the family barriers or obstacles to making sure students come to school every day, doing home visits, constant outreach, providing attendance incentives, and many different layers of supports, directly focusing on what can we do as a system to meet the needs of families and students so that students are attending every day. And so really building up our opportunities for having student data technicians, focusing on community assists, and focusing on truancy outreach to meet and identify the needs that are holding back students from attending school every day. So again, I would really appreciate you taking this opportunity to write in the chat, provide feedback. What are those areas that you would like to see increased or improved to build meaningful partnerships up? To make sure that we have family workshops and trainings that are ongoing, student leadership opportunities, making sure that we have arts and music experiences, that students have access to sports, that we have programs like the Peer Leaders Uniting Students, the PLUS program, and other student leadership programs, that we have ongoing student outreach and attendance incentives, that we have constant translators and interpreters, that we have different forms of support, whether it be the Native American Indian Center, transportation resources, truancy outreach resources, all those areas to make sure that we have parent, guardian, and family involvement, that we're building up the skills and addressing the needs of our families while addressing students feeling both engaged, connected, and excited about attending the school that they're enrolled in. So as you're writing your feedback and input in the chat, I will read out some of the questions. Is the Lcap survey still collecting data? It appears to still be active on the website. Currently, the Lcap survey is closed. It is open so that people can still look at the survey questions and responses. We are still collecting any paper-based surveys, Lcap surveys from families, but the window for the Lcap survey was from October 26th to February 5th. Thank you for that question. Statement, the Family Engagement and Education Office is a fantastic resource. I always come away earning something new from their workshops. They really ask parents what they need and provide information on the district as well as community resources. The Family Engagement and Education Office has been doing really an amazing job at increasing and improving both the access to workshops and trainings and the topics of offerings, definitely during these times of pandemic distance learning where school buildings are closed, but increase and outreach is increased. And through Zoom and other virtual platforms, we continue to create opportunities for family engagement, workshops, and training. And we continue to listen to the feedback of what those areas, topics, and needs are, and provide those workshops and training in those areas. So I appreciate that feedback and that statement, and the Family Engagement and Education Office has been doing a great job with outreach, as well as the schools have been doing an amazing job. The administrators, teachers, instructional coaches, the counselors, mental health clinicians, the front office staff, custodians, classified staff, just working as a team to really meet the needs of students and families during this COVID-19 pandemic time. The next question, what information is available about the details of each of these budgets? The information is connected to the Learning Continuity and Attendance Plan, would have the breakdown of the budgets for this year for the Learning Continuity and Attendance Plan. The Lcap document itself breaks down specifically as well. And then this presentation also provides information on all the different areas in which the funding sources are provided and what those funding areas are focused on as well. And then in this process of developing the 2021-2024 Lcap, those budget lines will be broken out once that Lcap is developed and ready for to share for the approval process. So we continue to share the budget areas. And so the Lcap itself, the document can be found on the Lcap website of our district, as well as the Learning Continuity and Attendance Plan, which can also be found on our district website of our Local Control and Accountability Plan. A great question, I appreciate that. For Meaningful Partnership 6, you mentioned sports. Are the VAPA and sports funds in the same budget? They're not in the same budget, they're in the same focus area of local control funding formula funds. So you have a budget that's provided for meeting the needs of sports and addressing the needs to have access to those sports activities. And then there's a budget focused on making sure that we have music teachers, concert assists, and all the different other VAPA supports and resources in that area. Thank you for that question. Are you partnering with any organizations to support immigrant studies? Immigrant students. Yes, our Language Development Office provides support and outreach through both the San Joaquin County Office of Education and working with other organizations to make sure that they are specifically addressing and supporting the immigrant and migrant student needs. And then we make sure that through the Lcap process that we are helping to provide funds both across the district and specifically to the Language Development Office to address those specific diverse needs of both immigrant and migrant students. A great question, I appreciate that very much. The next one says, Lcap Goal 3 MP6 shows a lot of funding for VAPA. How can we ensure funds are allocated in our children's schools? Great question. The best way to make sure that funds for specific schools are provided is to take part in your school site's school site council meetings and their English Learner Advisory Committee meetings. Those are the two committees at school sites in which the school site budgets are both discussed. The needs assessment process of identifying the needs of the schools are identified, and then the suggestions and feedback for specific school sites funds are there. As the Lcap, we provide and make sure that as a district, we have funds for those areas and then provide the central office to the different departments the funding for these areas, and then those departments work with school sites and identify the needs and provide those needs, specifically in this case, addressing the visual and performing arts. So great school site level supports and communication would be attending the school site council and the English Learner Advisory Committee meetings. Great question. The improvement needed, the peer leaders uniting students and parent liaisons at every school. I really appreciate that feedback and that input. So really making sure that all school sites have access to the program of peer leaders uniting students, and really finding a way to increase and improve and move towards funding and identifying how we can provide parent liaisons and that parent liaison family support at every school site. Thank you very much. The next one says, this is a statement, last year we had EPIC training at our school site. What was so great was having both teachers and parents in the training so that we learned what we learned could be implemented at home or school. It'd be great to have more training provided like this. Yes, the EPIC training is a training that many families and staff have very positive feedback. The behavior intervention team and mental health clinicians in support with the counseling provide those EPIC trainings, as well as in collaboration with the Family Engagement and Education Office. And I will continue to share that feedback and input for those trainings to be both increased, improved, and ongoing. Thank you for sharing that. And the next one, do schools have access to music instruments? My understanding is that most SUSD schools do not have visual and performing arts programs. Yes, students do have access to musical instruments. It depends on what that musical program that's being provided offers. Some schools currently do not have maybe possibly a visual and performing arts teacher. And that's really the school site teams and administration in communication with Ed Services and the coordinator for VAPA services shares their desire for visual and performing arts and PE, and they work out with their schedules what can be provided. So we'll continue to look to increase and improve the visual and performing arts programs and access and experiences for all students. So I appreciate that question and comment. The next question is, how do we support undocumented students? Well, we really make sure through supporting undocumented students that they have increased access to counseling support. At the high school, there's a point counselor to really support those undocumented student needs, to make sure that they are supported with being automatically enrolled in the school that is closest to their family place of residence, making sure that they have increased access to learning needs and resources both during and after school, and then making sure that we have community assists and social service case managers that support both the family and the student needs, and making sure they have access to resources and organizations outside of our district that can provide resources as well. Upon many different layers of the language development office, making sure to provide various forms of instructional support, both to the teachers and the school site as a whole, to make sure that the services are provided to those undocumented students. Thank you for that question. The next question says, I feel like all the examples are needed and can always be improved and expanded, especially in bringing music to the younger elementary students. I really appreciate that feedback. And we will continue to look as a district and a system in providing educational services in the ways in which we can provide increased and improved services of bringing both music and art experiences for our younger elementary students. The next one is a statement, I think with a question at the end is, I was a band student in Stockton Unified School District in the 80s and walked into back to school nights and performance for my children now, and the high school music rooms look like they did 30 plus years ago. I see beautiful athletic fields at Stockton Unified School District, but how can students appreciate the arts when it doesn't appear in Stockton Unified School District values the program? We definitely, as a system of education, value the arts and value music and band. And as is suggested, there is many needs for improving the facilities in which they provide that learning space for both band, music, and art. And as both at the school level and at the district level, central level, we're working in collaboration of how to address these needs. how to increase and improve the ways we are providing updated resources, musical instruments, and pathways for music and arts. And greatly appreciate this feedback, and we'll continue to share that input and integrating it into the conversation about addressing the needs to improve and increase the arts and music experiences for our students. For focusing just a little bit to get an idea around sort of growth and data, and that's the accountability, the final part of the local control accountability plan, which is connected to the California School Dashboard. There was no dashboard for this year due to the COVID-19 pandemic and the impacts it's had on education. I wanted to share this slide and the next slide just to give you an idea and to show you how, as a district, we continue to move in the direction of growth and development with continuing to identify the needs of improving our educational offerings and the ways in which we're meeting the needs of all students. So there is a color scale where red represents low performance all the way to blue representing high performance. And each color represents the ability to show that you're growing and improving. So at red, you're showing that there's a lot of growth needed and not a lot of growth necessarily happening in that area. Orange showing that there's some growth happening and possibly maintaining the status of where that current data shows for that specific topic. Yellow showing that there's growth being made and being sustaining that growth, staying where the growth is. Green showing that there's 2 or more years of growth in that area and continues to grow. And blue showing 2 to 3 or multiple years of growth and improvement and continuing to move in a positive and constructive direction. So in 2018, you see the first column shows the student group, and then the rows are connected to the columns of the focus. So chronic absenteeism rates, suspension rates, graduation rates, college career and readiness. So the idea is that students are at grade level for standardized assessments, taking advanced placement classes, dual enrollment classes, career and technical education opportunities, getting a C- or higher in their A through G courses. English language arts and mathematics, that's for 3rd through 8th and 11th grade student data, because that is what the state standardized test grade levels are based on. So this was our 2018 dashboard. And you see, as we move to what our 2019 school dashboard is, that we are showing growth and improvement. We're showing that we're moving in the direction of meeting the needs of students, growing in their access of getting closer to being at grade level, to coming to school at greater rates on a daily basis, of decreasing suspension rates, increasing graduation rates, increasing college and career readiness, and increasing English language arts and math assessment results. You can see that we have many areas, the ones that are in red, that show that we have a lot of growth and improvement needed in those areas, specifically for those student groups, such as our English learners, our foster youth, our homeless and families in transition, our students with disabilities, our African American and Black students, our American Indian or Alaskan Native students, continuing to really find those extra layers of support to meet those needs of students in these student groups, and really creating a system of supports, providing high quality first instruction and different layers of interventions to make sure from preschool all the way to 12th grade, we are providing high quality first instruction for all students, extra layers of interventions and academic supports to really address the various and diverse academic and social emotional needs of all students, and specifically meeting the diverse needs of students in the various student groups that we serve as a district as a whole as well. The COVID-19 pandemic has had great impact on our educational experiences. And as we transition back into in-person learning and open our school buildings back up, to having students on campus to learn together as a learning community. We will continue to work together, and the need will be even greater to meet both the academic and social emotional needs of these students. So we really appreciate and value your voice in a collaborative development process of our local control and accountability plan. When we're thinking about increasing the academic achievement, we're really thinking about student access to technology, making sure that we're supporting that primary language support, that we have the collaboration that's needed to, as lifelong learners, continue to grow and improve the learning experiences we're providing to all students, while strategically providing learning experiences really directed at meeting the diverse learning needs of students at the levels at which they need to be able to access learning at the level that they're comfortable with. Making sure that we have ongoing interventions, that we have different layers of instructional coaching support to provide that collaborative learning opportunities for staff, to have school site and departments have allocations of funds provided right to them so that they can decide how to best use the funds with the needs that have been shared with them, with those who they directly provide services to. And that's why it's great to be directly connected to and attend and provide feedback to your school sites during your school committees, your student council committees, and also your English learner advisory committees. The more that you can contain and consistently come to those meetings and provide that feedback, the more the voices can be heard about what the needs are so that we can work together in addressing them to meet the needs of all students. Making sure that we're increasing student attendance. We continue to provide outreach, build up community relations, parent, guardian, and family partnerships, that we have ongoing health services, mental health clinicians, that we have school counseling services that are focused on both the academic and social emotional needs of students, providing visual and performing arts and athletics experience for students, really having students get excited about the school they attend, and connecting to the integration of the arts and the sports in their learning process. Making sure that we have student attendance and accountability services, that we provide public transportation to students so that they can gain access both to activities that happen before and after school so that they have transportation if they need to get to and from school in their place of residence. Making sure to increase engagement, workshops, training, and communication shared from the district to the homes and place of residence to students, families, guardians, and parents. And really making sure that we're preparing every child for college, career, and community readiness. Having those opportunities for college, career, technical education experiences, making sure that we are providing opportunities for clubs and educational and academic and enrichment opportunities that students want to be a part of and are excited about being a part of. Making sure that we have credit recovery programs. We have a lot of students that currently are struggling with distance learning. We have a large amount of students that are having no marks, meaning that they're getting no credits for the classes that they are taking in high school. And we need to make sure to provide access to those students, both to increase their connectedness to school, provide extra learning, intervention, and supports for them, and making sure they have access to credit recovery programs so that they can recover the credits that they have not earned in the classes they're taking. To have career centers and really make sure that we are providing that experience for standardized testing and college readiness events so that families and students have the information they need to make an informed decision about the college they want to attend, the career and the skills that are needed to get that job of their dreams, and the skills and information they need to go and live as a leader within the community that they reside in. Again, I will take this time in the presentation to pause and answer any questions. And again, please continue to provide feedback and input in the chat around what are those areas that you would like to see increased or improved to address student academic achievement needs, to make sure that every student is at grade level, has the resources and support that they need to be successful in their learning, and that all students have college and career readiness experiences that are preparing them to graduate from high school, college, career, and community ready. What are those suggestions that we need to increase or improve to address the needs that we have learning environments that are welcoming, that are inclusive, and that really celebrate students as the young scholars that they are, and provide staff and families with the resources they need to provide the support so that students understand the importance of school, of their academic learning, and of a constant conversation around how together as partners, we are here to support students in both their academic and social emotional well-being. And then talking about feedback and input around how to increase parents, guardians, and family members' participation and involvement, and how we can increase student leadership opportunities. And what are the needs connected to really increasing students' connectedness and excitement about attending the school that they're enrolled in. So I'll look at the questions here. The question here is, does the school site committee have any oversight from the district that they are meeting these Lcap needs? Does the SSC get a report from you that shows the information reported on the Lcap? Yes, the school site council oversight from the district in the sense that all school sites are provided with, and the same to answer the question about shows the information report on the Lcap, they're provided with an Lcap presentation to share with their school sites. All school plans for student achievement are all goals of that school plan for student achievement are aligned with the Lcap goals. And all of the site funds that are provided to the school sites are outlined within the school plan for student achievement, the SIPSA. And then that SIPSA process goes through a needs assessment process at school sites, conversations with the both school site council, as well as the English Learner Advisory Committee for feedback and input about how those funds should be used and what those goals are, and what those metrics or indicators for student success are within those goals. And then the SIPSA, the school plan for student achievement, is then looked over by the state and federal department, as well as in collaboration with the Director of Educational Services that supports the school site. And then the school plan for student achievement, the SIPSA, is then provided to the Stockton Unified School District Board of Trustees, in which the Board of Trustees then approves that plan. And so there's definitely many layers of conversations and alignment, both with the Lcap and then reports to show the information. Great question, I appreciate that. And the next one is, will tonight's recorded conversation be posted on the SUSD website? Yes, thank you for that question. Within the Local Control and Accountability Plan, you will find this recording to this presentation, as well as the slide deck, both in English and Spanish, provided on the Local Control Accountability Plan underneath this date's Lcap engagement forum. Thank you for that question. And the next question, is there a class that students can take that teaches them basics of being adult, such as proper interview and work attire, email and phone etiquette, opening a bank account, or how to conduct themselves in an interview? That's a great question. There are many questions, and basically the main suggestion around that is talk about fiscal literacy, financial literacy, work and career preparedness. So the counselors provide different forms of lessons that talk about these subjects. Zello, which is the career exploration software, is utilized to help students talk about these subjects, identify the job or career or careers that are aligned with their focus. And then teachers also provide this information as well. At the high school level, there are different forms of classes that provide this specific focus, talking about the basics of being adult, of financial literacy, of the idea of practicing for interviews, communicating and creating resumes and reaching out to different companies and businesses, to connect and basically advocate for yourself and your skills. And these are definitely areas as a district we're looking to increase and improve and strategically address the ways that we can offer more of these experiences as well. The next one is a statement. It says, I just want to thank Dr. Sloan for this presentation. It was very informative and transparent. And I'm always so impressed with how you listen to the community and take time to make sure we understand. Thank you, Dr. Sloan. We appreciate you so much. I very much appreciate that statement and definitely very humbled by that feedback. I appreciate that statement and who made that very much. And I also like just to share that it is my honor to serve the needs of all students, families, staff, and connect with community because myself, I am student focused, and this process is all about focusing on meeting the students' needs, and the diverse levels of needs are very great right now with the impacts of COVID-19. So I am just really appreciative of everyone that's taken the time to participate and be involved in this process. So thank you very much. The next question is, since Lcap is now closed, will suggestions, feedback be in account? Yes. So and I assume that the Lcap process is not closed. And I assume what the question is that since the Lcap survey is closed, it was open from October 26th to February 5th. And yes, all suggestions and input we save from all of these engagement forums, as well as the parent advisory committees. And I take in all that information and share that with the superintendent and their cabinet, and make sure that that feedback and input is shared about here are the voiced needs, as well with all the input from the survey. The analysis is done from that, and all of the feedback and input in that process is shared, as well as the themes that are identified that are shared at the greatest amount of frequency. So suggestions would be right now, like what that frequency looks like is the need for increased interventions and tutoring to be offered, the increase for arts and music experiences to be provided to students, the increase of supports to make sure that sites have assistant principals, and really making sure that we have mental health and counseling services and nursing and health services at all school sites. Those would be some of those high frequency shares that have been shared amongst many other ones that we continue to look at. Next, when will kids start school? Do they need a vaccine? I appreciate this. There is no set date yet for when school buildings will open for in-person instruction during the instructional day. Those conversations continue to happen with our different bargaining units, as well as in collaborative conversations with the public health county office of education representatives. And we continue to look forward to welcoming students back onto campus. We currently do have in-person cohorts happening after school hours. So we're teachers on a voluntary basis are being provided with compensation to provide extra layers of support focused on really meeting the learning needs, the credit recovery, and the growth-focused academic experiences for students in person in cohorts after school. Do students need a vaccine? Currently, no. There is no need in the sense of a child to be vaccinated to go back into school. Currently, the vaccine, as far as age level goes, it's only for 16-year-old and older individuals. And so we continue to look for guidance from both the CDC and the local and state public health officials to move forward with providing that opportunity to welcome students back in school and open our school buildings. So we hope to do that in the near future, and those conversations are ongoing. The next question is, will all of the Lcap survey raw data be made available to the public, including comments? The Lcap survey data, there'll be an overview presentation that's provided. The raw data itself, a presentation, a sort of PDF will be provided. It is hundreds of pages long, so it's not something that will necessarily be all presented. The comments themselves will not necessarily be made public because the comments themselves are sort of part of that survey process. and we take in that account, but the data as far as all the responses, those will definitely be made available in public. And how do parents enroll in the cohorts? If you are interested in your child taking part in the in-person cohorts that are offered after school, you can call your child or children's school site and just inform them that you would like your child to take part in the after-school academic cohorts that are being offered in person. And then they will help connect you with that cohort and explain to you the next steps of how to enroll your child, as there are some conversations to make sure everyone understands both the health expectations and the process involved with the cohorts. And currently cohorts are a 1 to 15 ratio, 1 adult to 15 students. That is the maximum of people allowed within the cohort. So I really appreciate all the comments and questions. At this point in time, I will continue to answer any questions and comments that are there. Our next Lcap engagement forum will be March 6th. It is a Saturday. We like to provide at least 2 Saturdays of these Lcap engagement forums to make sure that for those families, staff, and students and community members, for one reason or another, Monday through Friday does not work for their schedule. So March 6th is a Saturday. It will be from 10 to 11:30 a.m. Currently, it's still scheduled to be virtual until we are at a place where we can meet in person, which would be ideal and welcomed. And so March 6th will be the next one. We'll be sending out both texts, emails, and phone messages around how to register for that event, as well as posting the information on our social media websites as well. So this will be the time where we will do our raffle. Again, before we do that, I'll answer the questions and answers, and while I'm doing that, we'll do the raffle. But I just want to really thank everyone, all staff members, certificated and classified, that are on this call and helping to develop and implement and really address the needs for our local control and accountability plan. And also thank you for everything you do on a daily basis to address the needs of our students and families and support of each other. Thank you, parents, guardians, and family members, for your time. We appreciate you being a part of this development process of our local control and accountability plan. Thank you, students, for your resilience, your perseverance, your leadership, and for your inspiration. And thank you for attending school every day and for taking part in this stakeholder engagement. And thank you, community members, for being partners, for being involved in the process of developing a plan. The Lcap for our district really focused on meeting the learning and social emotional needs of all students. So we'll now do a raffle. We have a raffle here where the Digital Health Connectivity Project donated, these to our district. They're called tablets. So we will be raffling off 2 tablets. And then we will also be raffling off a sort of, I guess we'd call it a joystick of fun, where you can connect this to your phone or your tablet. And really it's a gaming sort of Xbox, where you're allowed to utilize this joystick to be able to play on your phone or your tablet and make the gaming experience that much more like an arcade. So we will now raffle off 1 tablet. And again, I appreciate everyone's support, your involvement, and really just your focus on students and meeting their needs. It's greatly appreciated.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started with the raffle. And best of luck to everyone. This is for the first tablet. Woo.
All right, Angela Metcalf, you have won a tablet. I'll be reaching out to you and we will coordinate a time for you to be provided with this tablet. Thank you very much for your participation. And then we will raffle off another tablet.
All right, best of luck. That was a close one.
That's so much, I love it. That is so much fun. So Angela Brown, thank you so much. You're the winner of this tablet, and I'll be reaching out to connect with you and make sure you're provided with this tablet as well. Thank you for your participation. And then for the final one, we have the Xbox joystick to enhance your game on your mobile PC or tablet.
All right, here we go.
All right. Well, Imelda Salazar, you're the winner of this joystick. Thank you so much for your participation and involvement. I'll be reaching out to you to coordinate a time for you to come and pick this up. Again, thank you so much for your participation, your advocacy, and your support of all of our students, our staff, our family, parents, and guardians, our community members. It's all about focusing on students, and we're in this together as partners and making sure that together as a team, we do everything we can to make sure students love learning or having fun learning, that are in a healthy and social emotional well-being state of mind, and that they're provided with the resources, the actions and services to make sure every student graduates from high school, college, and career and community ready. And making sure that we're increasing and improving the services really provided to high need student groups so that they have that increased and improved access that they need to ensure that they have all of the support needed to be successful in school and beyond. So again, thank you for your time. Thank you for your feedback and input. I look forward to continue to work with you in partnership in this development process of our local control and accounting plan. Again, thank you to Maria Robles and Guillermo Rodriguez, our translators and interpreters. Thank you so much for all of your work, your support, and your access. Your services are greatly appreciated. Thank you, Veronica Lynch and Dr. Shelley Spessard for the Community Relations Department. You guys do an amazing job, outreach, communication, connections, and really making sure that the communication and messages from our district and the stakeholder engagement process is one that is inclusive, is ongoing, and is happening in many different realms. So community relations, my respect and appreciation goes out to that department, and Dr. Shelley Spessard and Veronica Lynch. You do an amazing job. And thank you again, everyone. Have a safe night. Please continue to take care of yourselves, of each other, and thank you for being healthy, staying safe, and supporting our students. Have a great night and be well.